Welcome back. So we've been talking about how Weight Watchers has developed the Curvo app, which is geared to help kids and teens develop healthy eating and exercise habits. The app is designed to track and promote proper nutrition, but let's say you just don't want to even use it. Well, here to talk about other ways we can help foster healthy habits, we have invited pediatric dietitian Rachel Rothman here in studio to help us, empower us parents. Good morning.
Good morning.
Rachel, nice to see you and nice to have you here.
Thank you for having me, talking about my favorite thing.
Yes, I know. This is your thing. This is what you know best. What do we do, though, instead of dieting when it comes to our kids?
Yes, and I don't recommend dieting. The American Academy of Pediatrics don't recommend dieting, don't recommend talking about weight loss, but really focusing on the positive aspects of food and talking about food in a positive way. So some things that are recommended are family meals, for example. So thinking about ways that you can be together as a family. I know that in this day and age, it's hard because kids have activities, you're all very busy, but think about, is there a few times during the week where you can sit together to really promote these positive things during mealtime? Additionally, parents can model healthy behaviors. So we know that kids learn by example. They don't necessarily learn by us saying, this is healthy, that's not healthy, but they learn and they watch what we do. So if you can model some of these positive behaviors, it can be really helpful as well.
Yeah, I love that you're pointing out it's important to know how to talk to kids about food.
Yes.
Because oftentimes, we can make mistakes as parents and we can say, no, you cannot have that. That is so bad for you. But you're saying, let's change that up a little bit and not focus on the negative. But how do you turn that into a positive if it's just candy and sugar that your child wants or craves?
Very great question. And what I like to talk about is changing the dialogue around food and just making a mindset shift. So there's no good or bad food. Food really doesn't have a moral connotation, right? Food is food, and we want to take that and let our kids understand that and let them know that. What can happen with foods, let's say, when we think about good or bad foods, a lot of times we think of bad foods as high sugar or high fat foods. But what can happen when we place these in the category of bad foods, they kind of get this forbidden food context where children maybe aren't able to have them, so then they crave them more and more.
Oh, they want to test it or maybe sneak it in when the parent's not watching because they know they can't have it.
Exactly. So sometimes we see those behaviors like sneaking or hiding, which we don't want to do. So instead what we want to do is really focus on the positives of food and really think about an all food fit philosophy. So I like to use, there's a pediatric dietitian and family therapist. Her name is Ellen Satter, and she's done a lot of research on feeding. And she talks about something called the division of responsibility. And in it, she essentially says that as parents, we provide the food, and then we let our children decide how much to eat and if they're going to want to eat those foods or not.
Rachel, you know, you have a plate right here that has a bunch of, what are these, Hershey Kisses?
Yes.
Look at this plate. Tell me why you put Hershey's Kisses on here.
So I wanted to show this as an example. So of course I'm a dietitian. I know what foods are healthy. Fruits and vegetables are great, but we do want to provide a variety of foods. So when we think about what foods to provide, I like to think about adding foods versus taking foods out. So if we are going to provide something like Hershey's Kisses, well, how can we pair that to make that a healthier choice? So let's pair it with carrot sticks and red pepper. We could even add some yogurt, so some full-fat yogurt to make that a little bit more nutritious. We're adding in some healthy fats in there. We're adding calcium and vitamin D. So I really like to think of how we can add things in as opposed to taking things out.
And you're saying doing something like this can be the start of maybe changing, having that mind shift, because my kids are going to look at this and they're going to, oh, Mom, we don't want peppers, carrots, I just want the chocolate.
Right. And that's okay. The point is that we're exposing kids to these new foods. So again, we want to stay away from that forcing or bribing or coercing them to eat, because we ultimately want them to develop a healthy relationship with food, meaning we want them to trust their bodies. Eventually they're going to get older, they're going to go out to eat, they're going to be with their friends. They don't have us there to tell them what choices they should be making.
You know what I love about this is that at least they're going to be looking at it.
Exactly.
They're going to be getting used to looking at it and maybe even feel and touch and smell.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. So exposure is really important, and thinking about the things that they might do without actually touching without actually eating the food. So If they eat the Hershey Kisses, fine, but can you encourage them to explore some of the other foods? So can we talk about the carrot? Can we maybe pick up a carrot stick and break the carrot stick in half? Oh, do you hear that? It's really crunchy. If you lick it, how does it feel? Does it feel, is it soft? Is it hard? So talking about some of these things in regards to food can be really helpful to encourage them to eventually eat the food.
I love that. I love that technique. Now you have a couple of other plates here. Let's talk about some of these and why you specifically set these up.
Yeah, so I brought a few other plates as examples. So another example of pairing something that might not be as nutritious with something else is this plate. So this is graham crackers with a few cherry tomatoes and a couple of oranges. So again, we're adding in some fruits and vegetables into that snack that we're providing. I also brought a few other options that are a little higher in healthy fats and protein. So when I think about snacking or when I think about providing food, I like to think about including at least 2 food groups. And we want to include something that might have a little more staying power and help satiate kids as well. So for example, some kind of nut butter, it's going to be higher in fat, so it might help them feel a little bit more full. So if we include that, we could even include this maybe with the graham crackers. If we have, I also brought a hard-boiled egg here with an apple. Avocado is another healthy fat. So thinking about how we can put foods together, again, it's about adding the foods rather than taking things out of what kids are eating.
I think as a parent, because I have this struggle daily, is having my children reject what I'm trying to give them.
Yes.
I think my mistake, and many of you at home possibly are doing the same thing, is we are saying, well, no, you have to. We're almost speaking to them in a negative way, which is why I'm so glad that I'm talking to you, because I'm getting advice for myself at the same time.
Yes.
Shift it and maybe get away from being so negative and having that negative connotation with the food and being like, well, let's just put this on your plate, son.
Yes. And I think, don't think of it as a mistake, but think of it as an opportunity to do something new. Because I think that as parents, a lot of times we can feel shame or guilt around the way that we do things. So I like to invite you to kind of think of it as, well, how can we think about moving forward, talking about this in a positive way? How can we offer it to our child? And if our child doesn't eat it, that's okay. We're still going to keep offering. Research has shown that it can take 10 to 15 to even 20 exposures of a given food before a child will actually eat it. So which I know can sound kind of daunting as a parent, but it's really about just continuing to expose them to a variety of foods, especially when children might go through more of a picky phase when they're younger.
What would you advise kids or families in the last few seconds that we have who perhaps maybe their families, their parents don't have the time to spend with them for these 5 family meals? In the end, how would you reach those kids?
So I would say to think about a couple of times during the week, even if it's once a week that you can sit together, even if it's for a snack. It doesn't have to be a full family dinner. It doesn't have to be a home-cooked dinner.
Just
it can
a few
be
minutes.
Anything. Just a few minutes can be helpful to sit together.
Rachel, thank you so much. Rachel Rothman, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for encouraging us and empowering us to create these healthy habits with our children. That's it for this edition of San Diego People. Join us tonight for the KUSI News at 6, 10, and 11.